When I made my magazine, I had to learn certain ICT programs and technologies in order to complete my magazine. These included Photoshop, InDesign, Blogger, how to properly use a camera, and how to use lighting. These benefited me as I could improve my work, but each area came with its own technical problems. First, Photoshop. I learnt and used this program a lot as it was a starting point for all my pictures I'd used. I learnt how to use Photoshop to alter the flaws of my picture using the Photoshop editing software. With this I learnt how to use the spot healing tool brush, which I used a lot through this process to eliminate any imperfections or blemishes on the skin, which was very good as they are not something you can avoid and it would look unprofessional to have lots of spots covering their face. I also had to remove some of the moles that were very prominent on the face. I learnt how to use a rectangular marquee tool to select an area, and then I copied and pasted it to move it to another area that I wanted it to be, which was useful as when I had to copy the background onto the double page spread, to keep it consistent I could just copy and paste it instead of taking another picture completely with a large amount of background. After I had all the completed, I had to select all the area to merge the image so that pasted bits came into one layer, and then I got taught how to put a Gaussian blur to make it all smooth, otherwise I would have had the edges of the original area I had copied. I learnt how to use the magic wand tool, and then I used it to select an area. For example, I used it when I wanted to delete the background of my picture, but sometimes some bits wouldn't select, so I had to use the lasso tool as well to select this area that didn't select with the magic wand tool, so I had a consistent selection. I could also use the lasso tool to alter the selection line, and I could use it to make it sharper or to make it feathered. I think with this program it did come with difficulties. Sometimes my computer would be very slow, and as a result of that I would click lots of times, but then all of a sudden it would change drastically. I also came across the problem with the magic wand tool and the lasso tool, where it would group similar colours even if they were completely different objects. For example, on my double page spread, when I tried to select the background, it selected the white of the cigarette, so I had to use the lasso tool to draw the cigarette and separate it from the background. This proved a problem throughout the whole selection process of all the pages. Overall, I think this program was very useful, as I would not have been able to manipulate my pictures if I did not have this program. Blogger. Blogger is where I had to put all of my work. I learnt and had to put everything I had ever done onto my Blogger in order to get the marks for it. It is what I will be graded on. On Blogger, I had learnt how to add a label on every piece of work so it was easily found by the examiner. I then had to be taught how to add a label and then go onto the layout in order to make the labels go in the right hand side of my blog so you can choose easily what you want to look at. To do my Blogger, I had to create a Google account, and then you log into Blogger using that. Blogger came with a lot of issues and technical difficulties, like when I was on it and programs would often crash or not let you upload documents or pictures. You also cannot use it on a normal internet page, and you have to use Google Chrome. InDesign. InDesign was where I wrote all the text for my magazine. Once I had finished the design and layout of the page in Photoshop, I would open it up in InDesign to put all of my text. I learnt how to use the eyedropper tool to take a colour from somewhere, and using that tool gave me the RGB numbers, and I could match that colour with some text. For example, on my front cover, the title is the colour of her eyes, which made a connection with the colours I used on the page instead of using random colours. I also learnt how to use the pen tool to draw around the silhouette of the model's body in my double page spread so the writing would go into the shape of the outline of his body. I also did this on the front cover. The writing only goes where I draw the box, and I could draw it in any shape I wish. This made the magazine look more professional in my opinion, as it is what they do in the real life media industry. For me, InDesign worked quite well, as I did like working in this program. As for me, I thought it was an easy process. However, it was quite frustrating as it was quite unorganised. I thought that there were some things that should have been simple, but they were not in the simple form. For example, in the box where you did all the text editing, there was not a bold option. However, it was there, but just located in a completely different area. Blogger. Blogger is where I had to put all of my work. I learnt and had to put everything I had ever done onto my Blogger in order to get the marks for it. It is what I will be graded on. On Blogger, I had learnt how to add a label on every piece of work so it was easily found by the examiner. I then had to be taught how to add a label and then go onto the layout in order to make the labels go in the right hand side of my blog so you can choose easily what you want to look at. To do my Blogger, I had to create a Google account and then you log into Blogger using that. Blogger came with a lot of issues and technical difficulties, like when I was on it and programs would often crash or not let you upload documents or pictures. You also cannot use it on a normal internet page and you have to use Google Chrome. Lastly is camera and lighting. I did have some technical issues with my pictures. The first photo shoot I did